Welcome to the Medovia Menopause Podcast, your trusted source for information about menopause and midlife. Join us each episode as we have great conversations with great people. Tune in and enjoy the show. Hi, everyone. Today we have Marie Berry on the show. Marie is a serial entrepreneur and global marketing executive building Evo. It's a wellness brand with the ambition to become the leading bone health platform for women. Marie has a very interesting background. She blends her personal health journey with background in marketing, creativity, and commerce. And she's on a mission to make bone health sexy. This is a great conversation, one that I think you will find fascinating as we talk about Evo, which is a women's wellness brand that is focused on bone health. Her company combines the first product, which is a female-specific weighted vest with diagnostics like DEXA scans via body aspect, cultural partnerships, and a fast-growing community, the Evo Warrior tribe. It was really founded by seasoned entrepreneurs like Marie and Giara Moore, and Evo is building a category-defining brand at the intersection of women's health, fitness, and community. We have a great conversation coming up. So let's dive right in. Marie, it's so great to have you on the show. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, this is going to be a great conversation. There's so much buzz around weighted vests, and this has been a long time coming. I know you and I connected many months ago, and our calendars finally aligned. So excited for this conversation, and I know that our audience members are as well. But I think your story is so interesting on how you filled a gap. You saw a need in your personal life. You filled that gap, which like many rock star women are doing these days. So can we start there and have you take us back to that moment when you started Evo and what happened? You had a diagnosis and it was an aha moment for you.
For sure. Yeah, I'm happy to share that story. And it's actually two journeys that happened that led me to really started. But there was the one, which was a health diagnosis. So I heard about the fact that I had osteopenia, so lower bone density than I should have for my age. And in the beginning, I didn't believe it because I'm like, what do you mean? I'm healthy, I'm fit, I do triathlons, I play tennis. Like I looked and felt fit and strong and always assumed my bones are normal or strong. And then, I learned about some of the stats and that it is this silent crisis and it can be a complete shock to many people because you don't see it, right? It's like happening slowly over time. But some of the stats that I didn't know was the fact that bone density actually peaks in your mid-20s and you start losing it in your mid-30s, roughly. And then from your mid-30s, you start losing 1% every year. And then women, because of hormonal changes during perimenopause and menopause, can lose up to 15% of bone density. So that's why it's so important to build a good base and really are aware of bone density so that it's not just, once there is a fracture or once you're diagnosed, you start. In hindsight, I'm grateful that I was relatively young. I was 38 a few years ago when I heard about it, because now I can do something about it.
I think you're right, though. Most people don't think about osteopenia, osteoporosis until we're older. Frankly, before coming into the menopause space, I thought, oh, that's for old people, right? I don't have to worry about that. But you make a great point that we start losing our bone density in our late 20s. That should be an aha for everybody.
It's afterwards more about maintaining. And you sometimes, what's interesting, because now I'm speaking to so many practitioners about bone density, and you sometimes see on Instagram like, oh, you can reverse osteopenia and osteoporosis. And yes, there are cases where you can do it, but it's actually, someone mentioned it recently, it's actually a lifelong it's a lifelong situation, it's a lifelong disease that you have, and it's more about controlling it, which I think is much better to think about, because there's not one quick fix, right? Like anything you do, you have to continue doing, like strength training and resistance training, like your nutrition, you have to be aware of it and continue living that way. So I thought that was interesting, versus
Yeah.
trying the one fix or the one solution. That's not it.
There's
Yeah,
usually not a one fix, right?
exactly. Yeah.
A magic pill that we have to take. And lifestyle changes, I think, are the hardest for us because they are long term and it takes that consistency and building that over time. I'm wondering, I'm trying to put myself in your shoes, and you're in your 30s, you get this diagnosis with osteopenia. What was going through your head at the time?
Yeah. So once I then learned about what osteopenia actually is, and because before I associated it with my grandmother,
Hmm.
so then I asked the doctor and I said, okay, what can I do? And um, it's really all about like load bearing movement, so resistance training, strength training, nutrition. So I changed a lot in my lifestyle, because I have to admit, I feel like a lot of us, I did a lot more cardio, endurance,
Yeah.
a lot of running and spinning,
Hmm.
like yoga, but I didn't really go into the strength corner in the gym. And so I started changing that. I did that. And I also changed my diet, because I was vegan for 6 years, which probably didn't help. So it's like all aspects of life are kind of reevaluated. And then I also started walking with a weighted vest, which
Hmm.
is, a complement. I think I see it, a lot of people use it as a starting point
Hmm.
to their health journey. Um, but for me, it was like a complement. I up leveled my walks through that and made sure it's heavy enough. And yeah, so that was like completely new, and I think I would have dismissed it, like even just 5, 6 years ago, when I
Hmm.
was like in my peak triathlon
Right, right.
training, and would be like walking even with weight or rucking. When I learned about it, is not like enough.
Yeah.
So that's, yeah, a lot of things changed, and now I'm seeing this entire ecosystem of health, adjustments, habits, and so yeah, I changed a lot of that.
I find it fascinating that you got the diagnosis and you followed advice. I'm sure a lot of the lifestyle changes that you noted, I'm sure that your physician gave you that advice. But not just did you follow the advice, but you started a company. So you put the weighted vest
Yeah.
on, right? And then what? You decided to make your own vest. Tell me a little bit more about that. Why did you do that?
Yeah, and this is, I alluded to it in the very beginning. So there's another journey that happened at the same time. I reconnected with my origin, with my background a lot more. I'm originally from Bolivia. I was adopted as a baby from an orphanage in Bolivia and grew up in Germany. I grew up in a small town, and my German parents, who adopted me, had already two kids. So I have two older brothers. Then they adopted me, and then they had one more kid. So my younger sister is a year younger, and they're blonde, blue eyes, like German. Very different to me. But I grew up very protected, had an amazing childhood, and funny enough, as a kid, I feel like I connected with my origin and like my indigenous background, which my biological mom was indigenous. I feel like as a kid, I reconnected with that aspect much more, because my parents always told me that I was adopted. And I feel like
Mhm.
kids are more playful with, information like this.
Mhm.
But then I left Germany for my studies. I went to London, Madrid, Paris, and then started working. Lived in China for 6 years and then moved to the US. So every time I moved, I felt like I became more of a global citizen and like an international,
Mm,
took on like an international identity. And I don't regret any of that. It was great. But I felt like I kind of lost my tribal like roots, indigenous background. And it's only now in the last few years, probably because I have kids, I live in Miami where, people speak Spanish with me
hmm.
automatically. And also like stage of life that I feel like I'm now reconnecting with that indigenous root, like background with my indigenous roots. And the tribe that I'm from is known for having a lot of female warriors. So all this
Ah,
is happening at the same time as I got the diagnosis. And I think I just have this founder bug that I'm like, okay, wait a minute. I'm not accepting this status quo because I started walking with a weighted vest. They're all very kind of bulky, masculine, look like I'm going to war, and not built for the female body.
mm-hmm.
And I started calling a couple of my friends. I started my career at Adidas, actually, in Germany and then in Paris, and also have a pretty strong network in China, all in the apparel world. And I called some of them and said, "Do you have a better vest?" And they didn't. And that's when I started designing. And,
Mm,
I had tried all of them on the market, but was in the beginning really more so designing it for myself.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've tried other vests. I've tried some, early several years ago on Amazon, and you're absolutely right. They're not comfortable. So I love that you filled that gap. Talk to me about other aspects about the vests that were broken, and give me a little sense of how yours is designed and why it's designed the way that it is.
Yeah. Um, it's funny because it's actually really basic, because I wanted to make sure that it's built for the female body, meaning we have usually a more curved spine. We have breasts. So, like making sure it's not lying on top, but going around.
Hmm.
So, the shape and the form, I worked with a physiologist actually, also again through my Adidas connections to like work on the female body because our center of gravity is different than men. So, that's why the weight, for example, in the front, especially, is like lower, is
Hmm.
not like lying on your shoulders or on
Yeah.
your chest. It's lower, closer to the hips. Um, so that's in general just the ergonomic changes. But outside of that, the really basic things of like, I want to be able to wash it. I want to have enough pockets.
Hmm.
And yeah, and I want to make sure that there's like it's not getting too hot because it's like we try to keep it minimal so it's not like entirely covering your body, because I live in Miami, so it's like often very hot. But also again, like for most of the women that buy our vests are in that stage of like perimenopause, menopause, so no one wants to be
Right.
hot
Right.
in addition
Exactly.
to like being hot.
Yeah, we just want to peel it off and take it off. Yeah. Can you add additional weight to your vest?
Oh
So add
yes.
and remove. Yeah.
Yes, that's another thing which I think that some of the vests caught up to make sure it's adjustable. So it
Mhm.
comes with like 2.5 weight pouches, 2.5 pound weight pouches. So you can go up to 20 pounds if it's fully loaded.
Okay.
Um, and that way, you can gradually start with even just like 2.5 pounds, up to 20 pounds. Make sure your posture still is good. Yeah, so that's the vest on its own. But like uh, I mentioned, for me, the trigger was really the osteopenia diagnosis.
Hmm.
And I'm now on a mission to make bone health sexy. So, and I do think there's this huge gap between um, treatment for osteoporosis and osteopenia and prevention in a more lifestyle aspirational way. And that's why I also said, I think there's not like, the one magic pill. So it's a lot of different things and aspects in your life. But I think right now, everything seems very utilitarian or clinical. So if we think about the vests, right, they seem more
Yeah.
utilitarian. If I think about like PT or strength training for osteoporosis, it starts with osteo, like, or a lot of the kind of tools and solutions, courses, like everything starts with osteo. And like for someone like me, I'm, now early 40s, like I I still want to feel normal and feel sexy and beautiful. Like I don't want to be feeling like I'm now a medical case,
Hmm.
and so that's why it's also important for us to make sure that this vest is beautiful and doesn't feel too functional only. It has the function, but it's also beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, you're younger than me. I'm 57. I'll be 58 this year, which I can't believe. I'm getting close to that 60-year-old age range, but I want to feel sexy. I still want to be
Yeah,
beautiful. And I don't want to feel like
exactly.
I'm in this category of old lady, right?
Yeah,
And we
exactly.
all want to be
Yeah.
pretty. We all want to feel sexy. And I think we can do that. And I love that you are designing something that is functional, but can also be cute and sexy and not bulky. And we don't have to feel like we're the old people out there taking care of our bones.
Exactly.
That message
Yeah.
I think is important. Your vest, I have several questions for you, but your vest also comes with a free DEXA scan. Is that correct?
Hmm.
So,
Yes.
talk to me a little bit about DEXA scans for the audience that might not be familiar with them. What do they do? How does that work in conjunction with the purchase of the vest, and why is it important?
Yes. So a DEXA scan is currently the gold standard for testing bone density and body composition. So also muscle mass and the composition of that. And it is a pretty easy test to do in order to see where you are on the range and in comparison to people in your age group. So that's also how I found out that I had osteopenia. But normally in the US, according to the US health standards, it's only in your 60s that it's a standard test, which is obviously way too late. So that's why I wanted to make sure that you can wear the vest and you can buy it for vain reasons because it's
Mhm.
beautiful and you want to, be part of the weighted vest club. I don't care about that. But I do I wanted to make sure that there is the awareness of health. And so that's why I started this partnership with BodySpec. They're the largest DEXA scan provider in the US at the moment, co-founded by a husband-wife team. And Elaine, the CEO, is also became an amazing friend, but like is an amazing founder and strong woman. And I don't know, I just love the fact that, it's not just like this partnership with the DEXA scan, but also working with other like strong women. And yeah, so it just enables people to book their scans through the Body Spec website. And hopefully it will be the start of a health journey, right? Because then they have more information because you can do something once you can measure it. That's my hope.
Yeah, so the DEXA scan measures your bone density. You get a report, I'm assuming,
Yeah.
thereafter with your results. And it for someone that result might come back with osteopenia, osteoporosis. In your opinion, what's the next step? I mean, you've got the weighted vest, and you mentioned lifestyle changes. Is there anything at that point that advice that you would give to women to say, if you have this in the report, what's next?
Yeah, I would definitely go and find a doctor to make sure that you can show those results and say, this is what they found out. There's also other bone density tests. So, for example, you can have a diagnostic test where you can look more into detail where exactly is the osteopenia, and but usually that is being done after a DEXA scan. But in general, like everything I'm suggesting are lifestyle changes, but it doesn't replace, going to a doctor or strength training. So I would for sure, yeah, like consult a doctor, PT, anyone that, maybe that person is working with already, to understand, okay, what should I do? Because if there's, for example, severe osteoporosis, and there's a big fracture risk, it's not good to wear a weighted vest.
Yeah.
So I can't generalize, the statement.
It's not the best practice for everyone to throw on the 20 pounds with the weighted vest and go out and go rucking, right? Well,
Exactly.
let's
Yeah.
talk about let's talk about an individual with healthy bones, or maybe someone that's not on that extreme end of the spectrum. You describe the actual practice of what you're prescribing with the vest as a 10% of your body weight, 30 minutes, 4 to 5 times a week protocol. Is that right?
Yes. Even though whenever I say protocol, it's not really like a scientific, again, like I'm not a doctor, right? So it's not based on like one study. It's rather based on like a broader body of evidence that bones respond to mechanical load, right? And so that's why, for example, the weighted vest, we when we go in like a group, we make sure that we always do 20 jumps. We do jump squats, to make sure that there is this impact. But yeah, to go back, I would start with wearing the vest, probably putting like one of the weight pouches in each pocket. So that's like, if you do just the front pockets, maybe 5 pounds. If you do the back pocket, it's like 7.5 pounds, just in the beginning for a week to make sure that you can walk and keep a good posture. And then you can gradually increase. The reason we're saying 30 minutes and like 4 to 5 times a week is really more about like making sure that you can make it a habit, because none of the health tools or tips, advice is working if you're not consistent. So it's really about that consistency, making sure there's enough load that actually spurs bone growth, right? Like with the vest, through the jumps, that there is that impact. And then, 30 minutes walking, because we believe that that's something anyone can, even if it's 20 minutes, 20 to 30 minutes, like squeeze into your day. And then the 4 or 5 times we suggest, especially in the beginning, to like build that routine and habit.
Yeah, build the habits. I love that you brought up the impact piece of this, because we're seeing the trend, right? Upward trend of the weighted vests. And then we're also hearing that, guess what? There isn't as much data that confirms that this has a positive effect on bones. But I think what you're recommending with that impact is really where we see the difference, right? The walking, obviously, with weights or weighted vest helps cardiovascularly. It's good for anyone. Move your body, get out there, increase your lung capacity, right? I wear one when I'm training to go hikes. We go weekend hiking. It's great for that cardiovascular health. But the impact is really where we see strengthening in the bones, correct?
Correct. Yes. And there's several studies. The Livermore study is one of those, where it shows that resistance training and that impact and jumping helps. I believe Dr. Von der Wright is saying even just 20 jumps per day will improve. And so that's why now in our community, and I can speak about that in a second.
I'd love that in a minute.
We always do 20 jump squats. We also do planks with the vest, which is definitely
That sounds hard.
more difficult. Yeah. So yeah, and then often we have like other strength training throughout the walk. And I love like just seeing women feeling more empowered and then, saying anecdotally, like telling me like, I love that now I feel stronger, and maybe they meet friends doing that walk and start also lifting, right? Because this does
Yeah.
not replace lifting. So like I said, I see this really as like the gateway habit towards a longer bone health journey. And Evo is here to support it with the weighted vest as our first product,
Yeah.
but we have many other products like focused on bone health in the pipeline.
Which I love, and I can't wait to hear about those. Exciting when that news comes out. But you're essentially saying this is a launch pad, and it's important to really emphasize here that we do feel more confident when we feel stronger. And I can see where being in a community with other women, having this vest, doing those jumps, doing the planks, which sounds really hard. I might have to try that later on this afternoon to see how long I can hold that plank. But there is something to be said for that, in that confidence and building that confidence and getting yourself into the gym and trying new things, building that strength. So it is a launch pad, and I love that you're building that runway for women. The other piece of this that you mentioned, and I really want to spend some time on this, is the community that you're building around this. We hear every single day when we run sessions in organizations from women that say, I'm lonely, I want community. What's next? Now I have this information. What do I do with it? And they're really looking for that connection. And you have built that. So can you talk to me a little bit about the community around Evo?
Yes. And that was earlier, your question was like, how did you start? I think that was the final trigger, was really the community that I built in the beginning accidentally. Because it was in the beginning just like me walking with a weighted vest. And I had a few friends that last year, because it became such a trend, were
Yeah.
saying like, hey, can I walk with you? Or like we just did a WhatsApp group with my friends in New York. And I thought, okay, sure, that's like an accountability partner that you have. Like, and it was like 5 women in a WhatsApp group, but then they have friends, right? And so it kind of snowballed. And within a week, we were more than 100 women. And
Wow.
everyone asked me, which vest do you use? And so that's when I was like, okay, calling my friends. I'm like, I had tried already all of them. I'm like, I don't have a good recommendation.
Yeah.
And so that was, yeah, the trigger. And now this community, I mean, we're like just like under 1,000 women walking every week in different markets. We have Miami, Austin, LA, the Hamptons, soon a couple of other markets like Colorado and Atlanta, and do several events with other partners. We're being asked all the time to partner. And that's the most beautiful byproduct of building this company, because I see women and how special this community is of like walking. And we don't have a rule about phones or anything, but it's so interesting to see how present everyone is, and almost like feeling great about the fact that it's not online and it's like in person, and often very intimate topics, and because it's all women, like I
That's
would
what we
say
do,
40
right?
plus. Exactly. Like
Yeah.
we talk about our kids, our aging parents, our own health journey, and also just have fun. So yeah, that was like an unexpected side of the business, which I precious like I treasure so much. And yeah, it's really great. And I have a head of community that is managing all this, because in the beginning we almost couldn't keep up with the growth of the
Wow.
community. And yeah, so it's also for me, like you said earlier, like a launch pad. For me, it's also a testing ground, right? Like the initial
Oh,
prototypes,
sure.
like a lot of the women in Miami have tried different prototypes and have given feedback. And that's how, yeah, I made sure that I also got that feedback.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, they get to be a part of it. They're building it with you, which is really great.
exactly. Yeah.
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 Everyone is building it together.
Yeah, exactly. You're building your tribe, literally building
Yes.
your tribe. Yeah.
Yes.
Walking, talking, sharing life, testing those prototypes. It's fascinating.
Yeah.
How, in those markets where you already have your groups, how do people get involved with those? And if someone is interested in starting another market, how does that work?
Yeah, we have on our website, evowarrior.com, there's a community page where you can see in which markets we are and, join. Everything is managed right now through WhatsApp. So we have a global tribe for people that we actually have quite a few international people, but also for people that live in markets where we're not yet doing weekly walks. And we do like challenges and just overall kind of motivation and sharing of tips. And then we have the city tribes in where it's more about the logistics of like where do we meet and
Uh-huh.
just like forming that initial group. And it's managed by, I call them lead warriors. So they are the volunteers. We have usually like two, sometimes three per route, that make sure that every week one of them like is walking and guiding the entire group. And normally we do like a WhatsApp poll. So just the logistics of like doing those on a weekly basis. And I'm so grateful because it wouldn't work without all these volunteers. Everyone gets like the lead warriors get a free vest and also an affiliate code if they like. There's no pressure to sell, but
Hmm.
they automatically are ambassadors and so
Yeah.
often like sell a lot of vests. So they get an affiliate code and that's how it works. But we get inbound all the time, like if someone is interested in starting a new group, like not just through our website, but also on Instagram, we get DMs. So I'm
Hmm.
always open. Yeah, like some of the groups definitely started that way. That people were like, "I want to get involved," and I already have a walking group. Can we do
Yeah,
it here?
let's make it
So
official, right?
yeah.
And you're giving them various workouts and things that they can focus on, which I think is helpful. They don't have to go research that on their own. You know what it reminds me of, Marie, is the whole pickleball movement. And
Hmm.
in talking to a lot of my friends who are playing pickleball right now, they love it for the exercise, but the biggest piece of it is the community. They
Right.
get to be with other people, other women, and they're doing something that's physically active and it's bringing them together. And I think it's opportunities like this, especially in the world that we live in today. We can get so isolated and on our phones, and we don't have to leave our home. We can order food and have it delivered. And I think that the community piece is incredibly important on top of the health benefits that you mentioned before. So I absolutely love what you're doing. If people want to purchase one of the vests, you've mentioned the website. Is it eligible for wellness dollars? Can you get reimbursed with your vest? How does that work?
Yeah, we are eligible for HSA, FSA credits. So also through our website, you can actually just purchases and you can get up to 30% discount. And yeah, that's a great addition. And we see a lot of people taking advantage of it. And we love it because it's, yeah, like already part of the health journey, which, we're trying to do to advocate for anyways.
Hmm. Yeah, I love that. And oftentimes those funds go unused. So that's
Exactly.
the reason
Yeah.
that I mention it, because we always wait till the end of the year and then we're like, oh no, what can I use these for? And this is so
Yeah.
fun, right?
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. TrueMed is who we use.
okay.
They're
Yeah.
a great partner. Yeah. So it's all kind of managed through TrueMed.
Yeah. Makes it easy. Hmm.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that you are exploring other opportunities. Is there anything that you can tease us with? Is there a seed that you can drop here, or do we wait?
Everyone will wait, but
Okay, okay.
I mean, um, we you'll see already in the next few weeks. We're going to launch several products. It's a mix. It's a mix of like products that are specifically for bone health. And I mentioned before, resistance training helps. So, like there's definitely products that support strength training and resistance training. But then also, just because we want to make sure this brand is aspirational, and like you said, at any age, you still want to feel beautiful and sexy, that we also have lifestyle products because now we do have the brand.
Right.
And people want to be part of it. So
Mhm.
that's the idea, to not fall into the trap of like now coming out with a medical device for bone health, but rather think about how can we close the gap between treatment and prevention and
Mm,
create lifestyle products that are aspirational, but good for your bones and support your bones. And some of them are have a more direct correlation to that support, and some others are looser. And then obviously also some merch and things around
yeah,
the
yeah.
brand.
Merch is always fun too,
Yeah,
though. I have to say, I love cute merch.
yeah,
Um, and I'm also thinking about the intergenerational opportunities here too. Before we started recording, we talked about our kids, and I have young adults in my home. My daughter's in her, early 20s, and we're constantly talking about bone health and get your strength training and now build that foundation. Because I too ended up with an osteopenia diagnosis. And like you, I consider myself healthy and marathons and triathlons and have always been physically active. It actually shocked me to get that diagnosis,
hmm yeah,
frankly. So I love the educational awareness, but I also love the, again, coming back to your communities and just walking with those weighted vests. You can have that intergenerational opportunity there for women of all ages, and I think it's so important to raise
100%.
awareness. So
Yes,
in a fun, beautiful way. So um,
yeah.
thank
I
you
lo-
for doing that.
yeah, no, thank you for picking that up. I love hearing this because I also feel like, my kids hopefully don't have to, have this like experience of like, oh, I'm diagnosed with this. Like, and they, like you said, you're talking to your adult kids already about this, which is great. And this is also where, because of the times we live in and like checking phone and the information we get, right, it's not how it used to be where it was like the older and wiser,
Right.
shared knowledge and wisdom with the younger generations. And
Mhm.
I mean, trust me, I'm all pro tech and all this,
Yeah, I
but I
love it
think
too.
that
Yeah.
but that aspect is important. And we recently for Mother's Day did a mother-daughter walk for exactly that reason, to go back to like that transfer of wisdom of older generations to younger generations, because there is some of the things that goes beyond just like the health information and kind of the something that's on a human to human level.
Yeah, exactly. The human to human. And I think it's important for our daughters and the next generation to see women in their 40s and 50s and 60s and beyond strong, and take
Exactly.
our health, because this is about longevity, and
Yeah.
we don't have to fear this stage of life. And so we flip that narrative completely on its head, right?
hmm
And we should, because this is a fantastic part of our lives, and we have a long time to live, don't we, Marie? Uh,
Agreed. Yes.
we ask every guest this last question, so I'll ask this of you as well. What is the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Um, it's actually when I lived in China, and I was at that time, I would call myself like an overachiever, and was like working very hard, also partying very hard. It was like in my 20s. But I had a mentor who knew that I was very hungry and ambitious, but it was before I actually started companies. So this is my third company. But it was like still when I was in the corporate world. And he said, don't confuse motion with progress. And that stuck with me because I felt like I was doing everything and I was so good in like moving my career forward. But it's really this like busy work versus being productive and effective and like actually having an impact. And when he gave me that advice, it was more in a corporate context, but I think about this now more than ever, right? Being a founder, you can create busy work and motion very easily, but it doesn't always bring you forward. So progress looks differently, and progress looks different. And so I think that's where I'm now much more aware of like which motion, which actions actually have an impact and actually drive growth.
Yeah. And that's where you spend your time because we don't have an endless amount of time, right? As a
No,
founder.
I don't have
And
exactly.
as anyone, right? Whether you're a founder or not, women were busy. We are caring for kids, we're working, we're caring for aging parents. And so prioritizing that and focusing on what's important. It reminds me of Stephen Covey's first things first, right? Put the big rocks in and then the smaller and then pour the sand, right?
Exactly.
I love that advice. Really great reminder. Well, you've mentioned your website and where people can find you, yvowarrior.com, correct? Where can they find you on social?
Same handle, Evo Warrior, YVO Warrior on Instagram, on TikTok, and YouTube. And then also, feel free to reach out to me directly, Marie Berry 008. I'm still at this stage, someone who loves direct feedback and just, hearing from women. And we get this all the time, like how it's changing people's lives. And it's a big part of the job. So I love that.
It keeps you motivated, I'm sure, and getting up every day and doing what you're doing. Well,
100%.
I'm going to have to bring one of your communities to Seattle. It rains here, so hopefully your vest is water resistant, waterproof, dries easy.
Oh, yes. I should have mentioned this earlier. Yeah, you can wash it in the washing machine.
Yeah, so
you can take out all of the weights, and wash it.
We have to have that in the Pacific Northwest. So it's been a delight. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and your passion. And we're looking forward to more community, more weighted vests, better bone health, and all of the fun things that you have to come in the future. Thanks so much for being here, Marie.
Yes, thank you. This is fun.
And for our audience, until we meet again, go find joy in the journey. Take care, everyone. Thank you for listening to the Medovia Menopause Podcast. If you enjoyed today's show, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe for future episodes, leave a review, and share this episode with a friend. Medovia is out to change the narrative. Learn more at medovia.com. That's MIDOVIA.com.